Okay, so hi guys, welcome on board. Today we have Shivam here with us, who's coming from Xlri Jamshedpur. That's like the most amazing campus when it comes to HR and business management. So welcome on board, Shivam.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.
It's so great to have you. So tell us something more, Shivam. Like you have been through the Xlri. It's like an amazing campus, and you worked with ITC, and you also bagged a PPO. So,
Yeah.
let's do a little flashback into your journey and, what do you think made you get the PPO from Xlri considering it was your first job?
Yeah. First of all, thanks a lot for giving me this opportunity to talk to you. And I'm really happy to share my experience with you all. So, as I walked into the gates of Excel, I knew that I need to make it big. I need to make it count. So, I, being a fresher, did not expect to crack first such a big college and then such a big company. And I really did. So, that's actually a good thing for me, for my career also. So, yeah, when I got into Excel, I knew that I had always been a topper amongst like during my school life.
Hmm.
But then when you realize that you are amongst the toppers itself in
Correct.
such a good B school, you are no longer a topper. So right from the first semester, I was pretty bogged down because I was less than an average student there
Hmm.
because the students are pretty amazing. But then I knew that if I could crack a PPO or I could crack my internship, it would no longer be a pressure for me in the second year.
Correct.
So I knew I had to give my best. So as soon as I got selected for ITC, I was given a plant role there. I went to Pune and I did my internship in two cities like Pune and Punjab. So
Okay.
Pune and Kapurthala. Yeah.
Hmm.
So first for 45 days, they made me do a project on where I had to like literally the work of an HR. You had to reduce the number of workers in a factory.
Oh,
The
that's
very
a
basic
challenge.
task of an HR. So once you realize that all the workers are 40 plus of age and me being just 22 at that point of time, really a tough job to do all the time study, then convince the stakeholders as to how I could reduce these people and something that requires a lot of convincing power. So
Correct.
yeah, my negotiating skills, my communication skills, all of them helped me quite a lot there to convince my stakeholders. The tough thing that comes as far as the internship is concerned because in a factory you have to be on the production line all the time, and staying on
Yeah.
the production line takes a lot of effort. So going there and spending 9 hours, like 4 to 5 hours on the production line, 4 hours in the office, traveling 1.5 hours on one side because a factory is always far off from your location in the
From the
city,
city.
coming back to the city. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there were a lot of hardships. So yes, I after the final review, I did realize that I would get a PPO because even the CEO was very happy with my work. There were
Great.
like 15 to 18 people sitting in the review, and I realized that they were pretty happy. The
Wow. So you
results
gave
came
a
like
review
five,
to
six.
15, 18
Yeah,
people at one time?
yeah, they were 15 to 18 people in
Wow,
the
did you
final
have a
review.
roadies type feeling out there that I'm the only one who's getting bajaued?
Well, there was the CEO, in fact.
Okay.
So you can imagine how big people were
Yeah.
sitting right there. So as soon as a question came up from them, I was pretty scared. What do I answer? But since I had worked literally for 2 months, I knew in and out of the factory, and I
Correct.
gave it very confidently. So yeah, my PPT, my work did speak for me because I did not shy away from working for those 2 months. So yeah, that helped me
That's
back the
interesting.
PPO, and I enjoyed the second year to the most.
That's lovely. So, what was the biggest challenge when you say that you're working with at the plant where you have everybody who's way elder and more experienced
Internet is
than
an
you
issue.
are? I mean, if they are 40 years, probably they would have been in the company itself. Probably these guys would have been in the company itself for more than 10, 15 years. So, how do you let off them? So what was your approach to dealing with such things?
See, so there are two types of workers in a factory. One is casual labor, and one is the on-roll workers, right?
Hmm.
So my task was to look at both of them and then recommend to the company as to what all can be done, which all workers can be laid off or
Hmm.
can be done away with.
Right.
So firstly, the HR said it's actually not your job right now to literally like remove these workers from the factory, but you have to recommend and convince the stakeholders present there. So my task was per se was to do all the time study and understand the work of each and every worker, be like onto them and realize what all they're doing, how much time they're working and how much time they're not working. So imagine a 40-year-old person coming in front of you and saying, why are you looking at me for like past 2 hours?
Yeah.
So that becomes the real challenge. You have to get friendly to them. You have to make them realize that I'm here to just understand the work and not literally take your jobs away.
Correct.
So the task was pretty tough. So all in all, I did the entire study. I went to each and every stakeholder, for example, the production manager, the line manager, the HR manager. I discussed these issues. I discussed with them with the data that I had. I made sure that I talked very logically, not just
Correct.
in the air. So I showed them the data. I backed my words with the data and proved myself that these are the ones that we could do away with. And all in all, the production manager, the HR manager did agree to it. And ultimately, when the presentation was made to the higher up authorities, they were pretty surprised that what we couldn't do, as in what we couldn't convince the management, the factory manager, you as an intern could convince them. So that was actually a very big
That's
achievement.
so important because the kind of resistance I think that exists everywhere. I remember my first few days when at Henkel's office, you're working with people who are in the sales team for the past 20 years, and it's been not even
True.
20 days in the company, and you're told to
True.
boss, you're going to take their reports and get that out there. There's a
Yeah.
lot of resistance. So uh, how did you make sure that you do not become impatient or restless? Like sometimes people don't give you the kind of data you're asking. You have to nag them till a lot of times till you get hold of it. So how do you make sure that you're still going? What kept you motivated?
So basically, I have always been a person with a lot of hard work. I don't shy away from working hard, right? So there were times when, suppose, the line in charge wouldn't meet me. He would say that come after like 2 hours. I'm busy working. Okay, and there are shifts in an
Yeah.
internship. You can like catch hold of them in only those 8 to 9 hours. So the biggest issue was they had to also work at that point in time, and I also had to ask them for data, for recommendations and everything.
Correct.
First, I made sure that I visited as many number of times as they asked, because I was there on the factory line all the time.
Okay.
There were people who really understood that I am not going to leave them because I want to get my work done. So yes, some of them did give the data, and some of them did hear what I'm trying to say. At other times, I had to approach the HR manager, the higher authorities, to get in touch with, to say, the line manager, because they are obviously busy.
Yes.
So I'm a new intern. So interns probably need to
Go
work
through
a
the
little
exam.
more.
Yeah.
Yeah, go through a little more. So yeah, they did understand finally that we need to give the data, we need to listen to him, and it was a victory for me ultimately.
Okay, that's really good and interesting. So, like when we started, you mentioned that being a fresher, getting into a top B school is not what you had imagined. So,
Yeah.
what all things do you think that worked in your favor all throughout, be it your preparation, your profile, which made sure that you definitely make it to Xlri?
Yeah. So first of all, I did my graduation from University of Delhi, and from there I pursued business economics. So this is a pretty prestigious course because it requires an entrance test to be given to get into this course. So I had a knack of the entrance tests right from the beginning. Although I can't compare myself to the science students because they already prepared for like JEE, IITs and all. So obviously, but then when you go through these entrance exams, you do get a knack of it. Apart from that, so while my college was going on, I had prepared in my mind that I do not want a gap year in between. I want to crack an institute, and I would go for it. So I started my coaching in the second year itself
Okay.
and gave a CAT examination just to know how it works. I gave there, I got around 80 percentile there. I knew I could do much better if I worked hard. So I took the proper coaching right after that examination. And in that particular coaching, I did not miss a single class. I made sure that I worked 3 to 4 hours every day at home because, as told you, I do not believe much in intelligence, but I believe more on hard work.
Hard work.
So, yes, the basics are very important, that you have been doing well, that you know the concepts pretty well. But after you know the concepts, you need to work really hard. So a lot of mock tests I gave. I completed a lot of books that were given to me by the coaching institute, and I made sure that I was thorough with my concepts. Maths was never a strong point for me, but in the last 3 months, I knew if I had to crack CAT, that or whichever a competitive exam, I need to do maths thoroughly. So in the last 3 months, I just focused on things that I was weak at. Ultimately, I got a hold of all the 3-4 topics that are asked in these competitive exams. And as far as the interviews and GDs are concerned, although I got calls from a lot of institutes, the IIMs and all other institutes, the problem is a lot of people are not able to crack the GDs or the
Yeah.
PIs per se. Now they've added VAT also, written ability test.
Yes.
So yes, I was pretty weak at personal interviews because my general knowledge isn't very good. But
I
per
like
se,
the way
I
you
got waiting.
honestly mentioned that, that general knowledge is not
Yeah,
very good, because a lot of people do always keep saying, no, no, I've been reading all my life, this is like
yeah,
something, and you sometimes as a student feel like, shit, I could never read newspapers. What the hell? How will I cope it up with?
true, 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 true. So general knowledge was always a problem. I knew interviews could be a problem for me. I got waitlisted in a lot of IIMs also. I got calls from a lot of IIMs also. But at the same time, Excel was my best chance there. So being in the top 4 good B schools, I chose Excel right away.
Awesome.
So the Excel interview went well. Like a lot of interviews went well, but the Excel interview and GD were pretty good. So I knew that I could get a good shortlist right there. So Excel literally changed my life, and I think that was the best thing that could have happened to me.
That's lovely. And Excel is famous for HR. I mean, it's the best, you can say the
Yeah,
best college in the country, or even beyond our country, when it comes to the kind of HR placements and the program, and, kind of alumni network also that you will be building. That's one of the most essential aspects of a B school, which is there. So tell me a little bit more about your profile. Like, before Xlri, what all things did you do? Like your academics plus extracurriculars and all of those
okay,
things that made the
okay,
complete package deal for the colleges.
all right. So I'll start from saying that usually when people get into Excel, like most freshers, they can't even fill half of the CVs because they do not have data, they do not have stuff. But
Yeah.
I was good at this, and I made sure that I had a full CV. That was possible only because I was really good in extracurriculars. Per se, I did not have any talent. I am not good at a particular sport or an activity, but I am a good speaker. So I made sure that I went to a lot of competitions. I went through debates. I went through extemporaries, just a minute, and a lot of competitions
Okay.
in the recent times. Also, since I was good in acads, I had won a few scholarships in my school life.
Very good.
In my college life, also, I was a silver medalist as far as business economics is concerned. So academics did fill a lot of portion in my CV. But what mattered the most, as per my seniors also in Excel, and I also realized, is the extracurriculars part. Because when you realize that everybody in that B school had 95% or above,
True.
so you do not feel that you are somebody very different. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and also everybody has some or the other good extracurriculars.
Hmm.
So proving yourself in an interview for in front of a recruiter requires courage, requires good communication skills, and of course some knowledge per se. So as far as my extracurriculars is concerned, I was good at debating. I was good at basically these competitions related to debating.
Hmm.
Uh, like there are parliamentary debates, there are
Yeah.
just a minutes. I've been to a lot of them. I've won certain prizes also.
Okay.
Also, there was a commerce Olympiad that I won. There were MUNs that I used to do. So
Hmm.
these are the things that I was a part of. So when I came to Xlri, I joined a very prestigious committee there, which makes the CVs of the students. Again, so
Okay.
I got a more knowledge of how to build the CVs. So yeah, all in all, my CV was completely full of it. Uh, like in graduation, I made sure that I had at least an 8.5 CGPA,
Hmm.
which is pretty decent. Because there are some companies at times which shortlist you on the basis of CGPA or CQPI.
Yes.
So I made sure that I maintained my CGPA. In 8 above CGPA is decent. So
Okay.
that was
When did you decide that I want to do an MBA after my graduation?
okay. That's a tricky question because being a fresher and never worked before, actually, I went with the flow. I do not really made a very important decision that I want to do an MBA. I had 2-3 options in mind. I always asked my seniors as to what are other options are present. I had this option of chartered accountancy. I had this option of CMA. I had this option of MBA. But now that I look behind, there are a lot of other options that, if taken a counseling about, like CFA and all these options are really present in life. So once I realized what my strengths and weaknesses are, I realized finance is not my cup of tea. So CFA and all were not really CMA, CFA accounts. All these were not really my cup of tea.
They are hardcore finance things.
Yes, that's not really easy to crack. Yeah. So I had this option of marketing and HR. I secured a job as far as my graduation is concerned. I had a backup job basically because I was not sure if I was going to crack a good B school or not.
Correct.
So if I had not cracked, I would have surely gone for a job. But I had this in mind that I would give it a try. If I get a good B school, there are a lot of benefits of a good B school. The position that you get, like a managerial position after passing out. Also, for a person who's not worked financially, it is very lucrative an option. So I decided to do an MBA. That's why.
That's lovely. That's interesting. So, like you mentioned, going with the flow, it's very uncertain. I'm sure a lot of people in their graduation are so clueless that, I'm done with 3 years. What do I do? What next? And everything. So it's always good to keep your options open, start preparing for these exams and, taking a step ahead. But I'm sure it would have been a challenge to, make sure you're scoring a good percentile in CAT, XAT to get into Xlri and IIMs. So how did you balance that preparation with college and being into a lot of extracurriculars as well?
Yeah. So my college I was a day scholar basically. So I used to go at 8 or 9 and come back by 3 or 4. Right. So my coaching used to be at 3:30, 4ish time. Also, there were days when I had to prepare for the parliamentary debates because I was in the debating society. I was also the president of another society where it was the president of the business economic society.
Okay.
So yeah, managing all these things together was a tough task. I do understand that. But at the same time, I always made a good impression in front of my teachers. So there were times when I had to miss half of my lectures. Like, for example, the lecture had to extend till 3. I couldn't really take that lecture because my college was, again, 1 hour away from home.
Yeah.
I had to take the metro, go to the coaching center. So I had a good reputation with my teachers. I made sure that I did not miss any of the coaching classes. At the same time, I made sure that out of like 5 days of the college, 3 days I would do the debating and 2 days I would ask off because I need to prepare for my coaching. Like I had to attend my coaching classes also. So the days I took off I had off from coaching classes, I used to attend these debating sessions for 2 to 3 hours every day, like after like 2 p.m. In the college. As far as the preparation in the days when I did not have college is concerned, I used to make sure that I give at least 6 to 7 hours daily because I knew without enough hard work, CAT and XAT aren't really possible. So one thing that helped me basically was because I was a non-engineer, a certain relaxation was available, but still I managed to score around 98 percentile. That was decent enough for a non-engineer person. But engineers, I do believe they need to get 99 plus.
Yeah.
But in the end, I would like to say these extracurriculars are the ones that helped me crack my interviews. Had I not been participating in these societies, had I not been supposed at a good position in the business economic society, I wouldn't have been able to crack those interviews because they get all the good candidates. They need to see that spark in you. So that was the thing that helped me the most.
Lovely. So basically, if I had to summarize, it's like, a lot of hard work and efforts to get a good score. And at the same time, make your profile so strong that, you are able to stand out with the help of extracurriculars, doing some courses. I mean, a lot of people, kind of sit back late that, we'll see it after third year is done. And then it's far too late to, do anything to make your resume stronger. So what would you suggest people who are listening to us, what should they be doing? A couple of things to make sure their profile is strong.
Okay. So there are a lot of things that can be done to improve your profile. First, there are a lot of online courses that are available. People who have a lot of free time can do these courses, although they have less importance as compared to a course that is taken like in a classroom. But they do hold importance as far as you can add it up to your CV.
Correct.
So there were websites that allowed me free courses to take, and you can easily find these courses online. So I made sure I improved my Excel. I made sure that I improved my some courses in HR, some courses in marketing, and these did not take much time to
Yeah.
complete these courses. I got an online certificate also for these courses so that I could add it to my CV. At the same time, once a person is in a college, he or she should make sure that he or she gets into a lot of societies or participates in a lot of competitions,
Correct.
even if it's a small competition per se, within the intra-college competition, if it's not an inter-college competition as well. So these certificates are going to help you a lot as far as your admissions to these colleges are concerned. At the same time, this CV goes to the recruiters as well. So this is for the long term. Once you have a certificate that holds value, this does not just let you help get a good college, but helps you get into a good company as well. So I always had this in mind that I need to keep my scores pretty high, but at the same time, I need to do a lot of activities to improve my CV.
Very important, because I think, see, when you're going for your summer placements, it's barely been a month or so into your B school. So whatever you've done before is only what's going to make you stand out and, distinguish amongst the rest of the students. So that's really awesome, Shivam. The factors which you spoke about your profile. Now, if you talk about the interview which you had at Xlri, I mean, it's always very famous that Xlri is known to grill the students and, a lot of things. I'm sure you would have heard of them too. So how was your
True, I get it.
experience? Was it grilling?
It was not as grilling as the IIM interviews per se, I would say that.
Okay.
But after having given a lot of IIM interviews, I was pretty confident because there were interviews that I literally couldn't say anything. Say anything in the sense I had no answer to the question.
Okay.
They were so related to CATs. So there
Hmm.
are two types of interviews. For a fresher, the interviews are basically related to ACADS, and for people who had work ex, they are related to their work experience.
Okay.
So my interviews were more or less related to academics. So if I would come to an interview of Xlri, I would focus on like 2-3 aspects that they focused on. So I know for a fact that there were interviews that questioned me on my ACADS, and there were interviews that questioned me on my name itself. My name is Shiva. So it's related to the Lord Shiva, right?
Yeah.
So there were interviewers for IIMs as well, and interviewers at Xlri also who questioned me, who tried to make the starting a little nice. So as soon as I entered the interview room, there was a little joke that they cracked. So one of the interviewer asked, "Shivam, where are your two friends?" So I gave a prompt reply. So I said, "Are you talking about Satyam and Sundaram?" So there's a line, Shivam, Satyam, Sundaram.
Yeah.
So the entire panel started laughing right there. So this is how the mood got a little lightened right there. And I knew the start was pretty good. You have to be quick at
Pretty
times,
sure
and you
this
have to.
is something that only people who are so outspoken into activities and a
Right.
typical Delhiite can carry it off. You ask anybody else who's there, who's sitting in an interview, and someone asks two friends, it's going to be like blank, zonked out look that they have on the face.
True. So the thing was, I had been questioned differently on my name before. Like, do you know about Lord Shiva? Do you know about this? So I
Interesting.
knew there could be chances, things could be asked about me. So as soon as I entered, I did have something in my mind. Anything that can ask me on my name, I could have a prompt reply. I did not think about this situation before, but it came all of a sudden. So yeah, I agree. It was a
Interesting.
good reply for sure. Yeah. So they did ask me a few questions on my economics subject. They asked me, this is a particular concept. What do you have to say about this concept? How does this work? Who gave this particular concept, like free trade, liberalism,
Yeah.
all these things, right? Then before the interview, there was a GD of per se 40 minutes, 30 to 40 minutes.
Okay.
Out of 12 people, I was the only one who was on the negative side. And the 11 or like 10 people were on the positive side.
Okay.
So once I entered the this room for the interview room, they asked me for like next 15 minutes. They tried to convince me, Shivam, you should have been on the positive side. Why are you so adamant that this is not right? I kept my stance there that this is not right, and I am perfectly right on my particular part. So the question, the GD topic was basically, do government institutes or basically government needs to reduce the workload or the load that the students face
Okay.
in their life. basically the primary students face in their life.
Correct.
So my stance was private institutes are doing pretty well,
Yeah.
and they are ultimately the ones who are like bringing out stars in the economy. They're bringing out like very educated people. It's not that government schools aren't, but I do believe private institutes are doing their best.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why a lot of students go there and a lot of parents send their students there. So other students had a different point of view, but they were pretty happy with the point that I did keep my ground and I
Yeah.
did not back out on that.
Stick to your.
So yeah, I
And I
stuck
think
to
that's
my.
very important that, if you have a strong point and you're in favor of it, and it's not, as long as it's not debating, that kind
Yeah.
of is an advantage when, you are one person who's against the entire group. So you get a lot of airtime to talk in the GDs. You get a lot of focus also, which comes towards you. So that's,
True.
I'm sure you would have had the whole group talking to you kind of in the GD experience, right?
It did happen at one point of time, and it actually made me more energetic and more feel important, and I gave even better points. The most important thing about Excel GDs is that there are 3 panelists who are revolving around you, literally
Okay.
rotating, revolving around you, and looking at each and every student, their body gestures, the way they're speaking, and everything. So, and Excel is one institute that focuses on ethics a lot. So I
Yes.
made sure that whatever I said, I did focus on the ethics part as well and gave my stance.
That's lovely. That's really interesting to hear, and that's, good. People are more noticing, and a lot of people tend to oversee these soft skill aspects. Like,
True.
your kind of hand gestures, the way you are speaking. So that's very, very essential and important that, we keep in our head while we are
Yeah.
preparing and giving these GDs and interviews. So that's great. So before we wrap up, we've spoken a lot about your preparation, your PPO, your all of these things. Tell us some more fun facts about Xlri. I mean, you guys have such an amazing campus.
That's true. So as and when one comes to Excel, there are a lot of things to experience. You are literally surprised every moment. There is this word called buzzard that we use at Excel, and it's used
Oh,
way
I've
too
heard
much.
that a lot. I mean,
Yes.
during my NM days when we had come to Xlri for the sports fest. So
Oh
kind of
yeah.
heard that pretty often from all the
Yeah.
Xlrites out there.
Yeah. So it's very much said by all the Excelers that buzzard never ends in Excel. You
If you don't mind telling me what do you mean by that? For all the people, for the benefit of the others, who are hearing it for the first time.
okay. So it is all about the pranks that are done on say juniors or juniors doing it on seniors, or per se the professors like literally ripping us apart. In the sense, you are having an assignment and a test tomorrow, you're sleeping at 6, waking up at 7, going to the class at 8. So it's all a part of the buzzer. In the end, you realize nothing mattered much. You could all of us could crack, like all of us could go out of this journey and like get our dream jobs. So all this was definitely a buzzer that we had to get into. We had to I think the video started. Yeah, all a part of it. Was hard life, definitely, to survive in Excel for 2 years. A lot of people cried, a lot of people could not bear it, but since the culture is so good that we all are together for each other, ultimately everybody makes through it very easily. And that's how
Very, that's very well
Mustard
put.
is
And, it is tough. It
handled.
definitely
Yeah.
is tough when you have such a competitive batch with you, your peers, everyone is a high achiever. So then you have to make sure you're doing your best when it comes to all the assignments and everything. But do you guys also get to have fun apart from just the academics, assignments, and competitions? What I'm saying is that you have a lot of competition with you, with all the toppers around you. It's a lot of peer pressure sometimes does creep in terms of the competitiveness. But apart from academics and all of these things, how do you guys have fun? Like, what are the other
Okay.
options available to make sure you're having fun? It's not going to be obviously all the time sulking and studying.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, Jamshedpur is a second tier city. You do not have a lot of options as far as going out is concerned. Although there are a lot of restaurants, a lot of pubs that have now opened, earlier they were not. So yes, we have enjoyed our life there. So as far as the festivals are concerned, every festival is celebrated with a lot of pomp and show. As far as the committees are concerned, they make sure that they have a lot of fun activities all throughout the year. Like there are literally 30 plus committees. So you can imagine the number of activities that they would also hold every now and then. As far as what else do we? So there is. So I was saying there's a very important concept of wet nights as far as Excel is concerned. So wet nights are basically the party nights that we have, and we celebrate almost everything in those. So suppose after the SIP was done, after basically to a Diwali party or any kind of function or any kind of moment that we have, one or the other committee is holding a wet night, where obviously you have drinks and a lot of fun there, as the name suggests. So yeah, the culture is actually very great because we all are like very firmly together, and we go out for parties and everything, the committee parties, and parties happen all the time. So Excel is all about working hard and partying at the same time. So yeah,
That's such a
that's there.
typical B school thing, that you have to make sure you
True,
slog your ass off and then at the end chill, party,
true.
enjoy. That's what makes it all the more sleepless nights that comes on board with it.
Yes,
And I'm
true.
sure if you take that part out of it, it's gonna make like the B school life so boring.
Very boring and difficult to cope up with also.
Very true. And I think that kind of being, and I mean, I've seen the campus, it's so huge, it's outskirts and everything also. So that
Yeah,
kind of, and like you mentioned, Jamshedpur doesn't have a lot of things outside. So that
yeah,
does that help build a stronger bonding into the campus with your batchmates and
it
everything?
does. It does, because we have our faculty and everything staying, everybody staying inside the campus. We do not have much outside as far as the campus is concerned.
Yeah.
So, yes, so we hold parties within the campus. We have common rooms where we can party. We have courtyards where we can party. So, as far as the outside world is concerned, we do go to the cafes and all the restaurants that have now opened up for the committee parties per se, when we have like 20, 30 people to party. But in smaller groups, we do have our own discussion rooms. We have our rooms to talk about, stay up all night, and like do whatever we like. So yeah, that has never been an issue, and that has been very entertaining and interesting part of Excel.
That's interesting. That's very good to hear. So thank you so much, Shivam. It was a pleasure having you on board and listening to all the honest things, and not hearing that yeah, Xlri just happened. I just cracked that. It's a lot of hard
True,
work, a lot of efforts which comes in, and the kind of dedication you've put in, which you can see
true.
out there. And wish you all the very best for the next phase with ITC, and keep doing well.
Thank you so much, Anisha. It was lovely speaking to you, and I hope the students get some insights from what we've discussed today.
Thank you
Thanks
so
a lot.
much.